Hi everyone, this is Britt Simon. So I thought I'd just go live. No particular agenda or information that I wanted to share. I just thought it would be, since this is an unusual time of day for me to go live, I thought this would be helpful for a slightly different audience. Perhaps some of you down under, but we'll have to see who jumps on and what sort of questions you've got. So, as I say, no particular. Oh, hello, Francisco. How you doing? Isn't it very, very late where you are? Perhaps not. And Malia, two of my favorite people straight away. So yeah, just take any questions that you might have. So let's see. Just people saying hi. That's nice. Malia, Francisco. So I'm intrigued to see if Julie. That's amazing. Lovely to see you as well. Julie, it's awesome you're still watching. All right, so let's take some questions. Do I have any idea when the judge will give an order? Why is it so late? So please make clear whether you're interested in DV 2021 or 2020, but I can talk to both of them anyway. For DV 2020, Judge Mehta is considering the government and the plaintiffs' joint status report. The government took a position about when visas could be issued and said, frankly, we're not changing our position. Their position's ridiculous. If you heard the original hearing where they suggested putting things back to DV 2023 timeframe, it was because they thought that they could, and they said this in the hearing, they thought that they could cancel, slow down, do something with DV 2023 because the entry period is not opened yet. Well, that's bullshit. They can't do that. That's illegal. That's against the law. The government, the law is laid down that there should be a DV lottery process every year, and they should attempt to issue the visas that are there. They can't. Some government lawyer who doesn't understand how the law works apparently can't just make up and pluck from thin air. Oh, well, it's okay. We'll move all these people to 2023. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't still going to be DV 2021 cases being processed in that time frame. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that it was an illegitimate suggestion, and to therefore stand by that position just shows disrespect for the process, for the law, for everything else. So, DV 2020, we are going to have a problem how you process DV 2020 and 2021 and 22 at a time when prioritization of DV cases is so low and COVID crisis is still keeping some embassies closed and so on. We're going to have a problem. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying that that the suggestion to still be processing at some later date, even in 2023, is not a reasonable suggestion. But to delay it until then and to suggest that that's possible because you can somehow cancel DV 2023, that's the part I find ridiculous. Okay, that's that. Hitting the mic so it stretches when you move your hands. Thank you, Julie. I'll stop animating. I'll stop trying to move. Maybe that'll be better. Okay, so that's the point I wanted to make about DV 2020, the order that was discussed. The order is going to come through in DV 2020. Judge Mehta is going to give us some sort of win in order to issue the rest of the 9,095 visas. That's clear. The timing and the processing of those is not clear. The prioritization of those is not clear, etc. And we need some decisions about those things. We also need to know clarification on expired visas. That's another important point. It probably only affects a few hundred people at this point, but excuse me. But it should be dealt with. We need that point as well. For DV 2021. The lawsuits, there's been a couple of bumps in the road. The Gokey case, I think it is pronounced, and the Rosales case both had difficulties just recently. I'll talk about those in a moment. We're still waiting for go, and we really need to get some sort of action from Judge Mehta on that. But as I've said before, consistently for a couple of months now, I think Judge Mehta is delaying his action, if he's going to take action, until very late in the process. Don't think about September 4th equivalent to last year. Think about September 30th equivalent to last year. Judge Mehta had to order some changes on September 4th because the government were not doing anything in terms of processing cases. Right now, they are processing cases. But he stepped in with the preservation order on September 30th. Okay? I think what we need at this point is a preservation order. Frankly, it's too late now to tell the government to hurry up and process cases. They are processing cases. They're scheduling lots of cases. They're still working on DV 2021, where in fact they should be working on DV 2022, and they haven't started work on DV 2022 in any realistic way yet. So, so they're doing, I wouldn't say they're doing as much as they can. They're not doing as much as they can, but they're doing something for DV 2021. So in comparison to DV 2020, we don't need the order that was the equivalent order of September 4th. It would have been nice to have got it, but we don't need it at this point. It's too late to help, right? What we need is the equivalent order to September 30th order last year, the preservation of visas, because otherwise we're in trouble. Now, that means that we need some sort of vehicle, a lawsuit on which to get that preservation of visas. It's possible in Go, because the Go lawyers, Charles Cook and co, have asked for a preservation of visas that would cover at least their cases, but should cover more. And it's possible in Rosales, but of course Rosales had the without prejudice denial of their class action certification just recently. So they're able to reframe that, refile it, fix the technical problems. But that was the other most likely vehicle for us to get a class action that covers everybody, that protects everybody. Now, I personally don't think we're going to get everybody covered in DV 2021. I think that's a dream. Again, if you listen to Judge Mehta last year, he tried to figure out what was the impact of the government's bad faith and bad behavior versus the impact of a natural, somewhat natural occurrence, a real problem like COVID. And he gave us relief for the government's action. He did not give us relief for the COVID impact, right? And he consistently took a view that COVID was bad luck, and he's not giving relief for something that's bad luck. He's only giving relief for the bad behavior of the government. And I think he's going to do the same thing again now. So I don't think, I personally, and some of you won't like me saying this for sure, but I don't think we're going to get a preservation order that will protect every visa in DV 2021. I don't think it'll happen. Because I think Judge Mehta has already sent signals. Am I still confident that we're going to get a win in one of the lawsuits or some of the lawsuits? Yeah, I'm still confident, because the lawsuit that we have in DV 2021, properly handled, have the same winning arguments as the lawsuits we had last year. Okay, some of the lawyers are the same, some are different, but we've got the same basic behavior going on, which Judge Mehta found to be incorrect behavior, and he punished, or he punished the government, if you want to say it that way, or he awarded relief because of the incorrect behavior. So I think he's going to do the same again. So basically, that's a sort of long-winded way of, when he's going to give an order. Why is it so late? Oh, and the other reason it's so late is because he's a very busy judge. He's also, he's dealing with lots of other cases. And as I say, from his perspective, you might think that your case is most important case in the world, etc. But from his perspective, the government are moving ahead and doing some things. And so from his perspective, I don't believe he feels any need to rush. So there you go. What about DV 2022? Right. So there was one reported case that apparently got an interview scheduled on October 3rd. I saw a picture of what was supposed to be the 2NL for that case, and I don't believe it's true. In other words, I don't believe there are any cases that are scheduled for DV 2022, as far as I know at this time. You might know differently, and if you do know differently, I would very much like to hear from you with some legitimate screenshots, etc., of a proper 2NL, but the 2NL I saw was not a real 2NL. Okay, so I think with someone who is just making up, some nonsense, frankly. And it happens all the time. I don't know why people do that, why they lie, but it happens every year. Let's see. Have you noticed any order to the DS260 processing for 2022? I've said this a million times, Jessica. Here's the order. I'll say it again. Here's the order. They process cases in order in which the DS260s are received until there's a backlog, right? So let's say on day one of processing, 50 people sent in their DS260s, and KCC had the capacity to process 100 cases in a day, right? They would go and process all of those cases, all of the DS260s in one day, because they can get to the end of the queue, right? But if the next day, and I'm trying to paint a picture here, so I'm just sort of, painting a picture. If the next day they still had capacity to process 100 cases and 500 cases came in, then they would process in case number order, because that's the way they're supposed to do things, right? And so they would go in case number order at that point. So the question is, why do you see anomalies with either cases that get their DS260 processed fast or their documentarily qualified emails? Why are some anomalies? Why do we see some cases with high case numbers going through very quickly, whereas other cases with lower case numbers get slowed up? Well, if you understand the explanation I just gave you, and then add in a couple of other knowns that, things that we know about, then you'll understand that. There's no mystery about it. There's no mystery in my mind, and I'm sorry I can't seem to explain this consistently for other people, but there is no mystery here. The other thing that you should know about with case processing is that no DS260s give the same picture, right? So if I've got one case of a guy and a husband and wife and 3 kids, and the husband has got a Middle Eastern name, let's say Middle Eastern travel history, he's a nuclear rocket scientist, and he's worked on weapons manufacturing in the past, his DS260 is going to take longer to process than another case, which is a guy who was raised in Germany, has never been anywhere other than France, and he works in a bakery, right? That second example, a single guy or a single girl, doesn't make any difference whether it's a guy or a girl, but a single person with a very simple travel history and an innocuous job is going to be much easier to process than the first example I gave, right? No DS260s are the same in terms of processing time. Same thing with documents. If one case has very simple documents, it'll go and be processed faster. If you submit a bunch of documents and there's, weird documents that the KCC staff have never seen, they're going to take longer to process that, right? And they might have to go and get an opinion from some other embassy to say, is this document that I've been presented with, is this a normal document that represents a birth certificate in this country, or a military document, or whatever document they're looking at, right? So there could be differences in terms of which cases come out of KCC as opposed to when they go in. So it's not based on the day the scheduling of interviews is not based on the day you submitted the DS260 or even the day you submitted your documents. It's based on when you become documentarily qualified. And there is an order of those which is based on case number, but when case numbers from high case numbers can be processed faster when there's no backlog, right? That's the complete explanation. So loads of people are trying to create mystery about that. There is no mystery. That's what it is. Okay. Now, there are other people who screwed themselves up when they sent in their documents because they put things like case number in front of their case number. They put the words case number in front of the case number itself when they send in their documents. And someone will then tell me, well, I sent my documents months ago and I've never had that, it's never been cleared. Yeah, because you put the word case number or some other information in front of the case number, which changes the the alphanumeric sorting of where your documents will be in their email box. You basically screwed yourself up, right? Now, I created a video and instructions about that some couple of months ago. So go and have a look. If you don't understand what I just said, go and have a look at that. But that's how it works, okay? Be very careful about this. For DV 2022, you need to send in your documents, for sure, send them in. If you've got a high case number, you can send them in. It doesn't mean that you're going to get processed fast unless all regions or your region goes current. When regions go current, then the documentarily qualified date becomes much more important, as we're seeing in DV 2021. But if enough people submit their documents and we've got an over-selected year, then we won't see a region go current. Okay, again, that should be clear to many of you, but I bet it's not really clear to some of you. Because it's a slightly complicated thing to understand, but it's not that complicated. All right, so hopefully that's. I'm doing this just for Aussies, Jasmine. Hope that's a little bit more clear. And good luck down under, by the way. We miss your voice. Oh, that's nice. From Algeria, that's lovely. What's the fate of no DQ? With it, so again, if you can try and help me a little bit by saying which year, but if you're DV 2021 and we get a preservation order for visas, the fact that you're not documentarily qualified right now doesn't preclude you from being processed, right? But we won't know what the ordering is and what the prioritization will be for cases. It's likely to go in case number order, but also documentarily qualified order, right? So if it's documentarily qualified order and you haven't managed to get DQ yet, well, you need to get off your ass and get your documents in there properly in the way that I've suggested. But it may not help you, because if they still go in DQ order, they probably will, they'll just stick with that. Project Voyager DV 2020. I'm not sure what you're saying with that, but okay. What news of DV 2021? That's pretty much the news I just said. The most important thing right now is preservation. There are a few more interviews still being arranged, and it's extraordinary, by the way, extraordinary that we're still seeing interviews being arranged for September. And so, we can't say that they're not trying, but the prioritization scheme that puts DV Lottery in tier 4, that is a significant impact to DV Lottery, and that needs to be addressed. DV 2023 will open in October. We don't normally get the dates for entry periods until quite late in September, but you can assume that the entry period will be in October, probably early October to early November will be the rough time. Don't enter any other website other than the official website, dvprogram.state.gov. Don't enter your details in any other website, right? Or any other place. Don't give your details to anybody else. You're opening yourself up to blackmail if you do that. 2021, 1111, 2020 got their shit together. Okay, don't know what that means, really. DV 2020 I just talked about. I won DV 2021. My case number is 28XXX, but you don't say which region. So you could be Asia, which is a high case number. You could be Africa 28,000, which is a lowish case number. EU is relatively high. And then you say, is there any chance that we can have our visa? I don't know, because you don't tell me your region. Just talked about that. If my embassy is closed in Iraq, how can I change the location of the interview? Right. This is another interesting one. I saw something from Curtis about this the other day, that people were being told to continue to say they're at Baghdad embassy. And I actually disagree with the way he told that he said, people should react on that. So try and put yourself in the position of KCC. At some point, DV 2022 cases that would normally be assigned to Baghdad, should be moved somewhere else. There should be some provision made for those. And when that provision is made, you actually want to be identified with the Baghdad embassy. You want to be. That's why you continue to say that you want your interview in Baghdad, right? Now, on the other hand, if you know you can travel to some third country some other country to be interviewed, or if you live in some other country, you've already moved, then you should let KCC know that you've already moved, right? Or that you can very easily travel to some other location because you've already got, friends or a home or whatever in some other location. So don't be afraid to move your address to some other country if that's a legitimate thing for you to do. But also, if you live in Iraq and you would normally be in the Baghdad embassy, then say that, right? The interviews are based on where you live, and whatever you select is irrelevant in terms of the DS-260. You get to choose one time which embassy you want to be interviewed at, but they pretty much ignore your choice, and you can never update that. Only KCC can update that. So they will ignore your choice, and basically it's based on your home address. So if you live in some other country and you haven't updated your address, then they're still going to think that you want to be interviewed in whatever your home country was. Okay. Is there still a lot of noise? Let me just Oh, I think I may have restored the audio. Look at the real-time chat. Yeah. Can you hear me now? I think I've probably lost the audio, but please don't spam him. Yeah, yeah. I've got to put this one in. Sorry about that. I apologize for that. Anyway, so you can hear me now. Good. Okay. So this piece of junk didn't work. So yeah, you've probably missed quite a bit. I'm sorry about that for there being no sound, and you've been trying to tell me. But yeah, I was talking or ranting about some of the answers. Wow, there's been no sound for a long time. Yeah, it's been muted. I apologize for that. So unfortunately, I've got to end this now. But what I'll do is I'll come back and do a little bit a better session tomorrow with the audio. I promise, because that's helpful, and try and figure it out from there. But I would like to just see. I can't find the question that I was answering earlier. I would have liked to have gone back to that question and cleared that up, but I apologize anyway. And unless I've got a quick question, I'll take one or two more questions. We've been scammed for those headphones. I'm sorry, Grizzly Mob. So let me just quickly cover this then. We're waiting for the judge's order. We have to wait for Judge Mehta to make his order. I suspect we're going to get that late in the month. I don't think we're going to get a fast order. For good luck, I don't know. There's a lot of people on good luck. We'll have to wait and see. For the Rosales case, that's being refiled by Curtis, or has been refiled. I think he's corrected the technical issues that caused Judge Mehta to deny that case, but it was only denied without prejudice, meaning that Judge Mehta was encouraging Curtis to refile. And I think that's relevant. I think that's the point I was probably making when I was on mute there. What I said was, I think this is an important point. If I was Judge Mehta and I wanted to deny Rosales, I could just deny Rosales without saying I'm denying it without prejudice. In other words, by putting the without prejudice, he's encouraging Curtis to refile, and I think that's a positive sign. But we'll have to wait and see. The other point that Jessica, could I re-answer the question about document request emails? Yeah, that was one I was going to do. Whether they're sent once the DS260 is okay. If you've asked to unlock your DS260 and you're asking should you send your documents, they're two different departments, right? It doesn't matter if you send your documents into the KCC documents team. If your DS260 is open on the other side, you can send them anyway. It doesn't make any difference. If your case number is high, they're not going to get to your documents now. There's almost certainly a huge backlog, I would say, for DV 2022. So some early cases will have been processed through the documents department fast, and we'll have some high cases that are already documentarily qualified in DV 2022 because they were processed fast in the beginning. But there'll be other cases, as soon as a backlog happened, then they revert to case number ordering, and that's how it works, right? So there's just no way around that. And I'm 100% certain of my understanding of the way they process cases. And I was answering somebody earlier, probably when I was on mute, but I'm absolutely, I think it was Jessica, not this Jessica, it was Kate. Kate, you were asking, and you were giving evidence of an OC 600 case versus an OC 2400 case. I'm 100% certain of the ordering and how they operate, and so I could explain it, but I gave a great explanation, but I was on mute. Yes, I'm aware of Montreal. They're allowed to do that. It sucks, but they're allowed to do it. In Dinka, in DV20, this was a point I made earlier. In DV 2020, they had to give the September 4th order in order to get the rest of some cases being processed. This year, they didn't have to do that. So we're likely to see a very late order being made, not equivalent to the September 4th. I think we're going to see a preservation order, but it'll be very late. It'll be the last couple of days, perhaps even the last day of September. Quick answer for this one. For AOS cases, you can submit your DS-260, but it's not really essential. And so I personally wouldn't file it too early if you're planning to do adjustment of status, because it doesn't help your case until very late in the process in adjustment of status. Okay. Yeah, I'll do this again tomorrow, Grizzly Mob. Thank you for pointing that out. Medical exams, cha-cha-ching. I just wanted to find that Australian one. Oh, okay. So this will be the last question I answer. Is it mandatory to submit police reports if you stay in other countries less than 1 year? So the thing is there, unless you can prove categorically that you left a country before the 1 year, and if your stay in that country was close to 1 year, then get the police certificate anyway. If you can get the police certificate, why not? Go ahead and do it, right? But the technical deadline is 1 year. But I've known of cases where a CO has asked for a police certificate for someone that stayed in the country for 9 months or 10 months or 11 months because it's close to a year and because the CO can't be absolutely certain of whether that person left on the day they said they left or entered on the day they said they entered, right? And so if it's close to 1 year, get the police certificate anyway. Why not? Save yourself some hassle later. Okay, sorry for the audio problems. AirPods Max, look at this. I've got a nice expensive pair of earbuds, but I don't use the bloody things. I prefer these stupid things and they broke. So I apologize for that. Synthesia. So yeah, that's annoying. But anyway, thank you for your time. Sorry it was affected by the audio problems, and I'll speak again tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye now.